And we have one of the great entrepreneurs, the great business coaches around this part of the world here in the south of Atlanta, Georgia. His name is Jim Beach. Jim, just for a moment, we've got people from all over North America out there with us for breakfast this morning. Give them a little bit of your background. I know it's academic and entrepreneurial and so forth, but give us a little bit of that first.
Well, I grew up here in Atlanta, and at 24 years old, I started my first business. It was in the summer camping industry, not particularly sexy. But in 6 years, we grew the business to over 700 employees with 90 locations around the United States, and in lots of other industries other than just summer camping. Any way we could separate a parent from their money by teaching the kid, being after school, weekends, Christmas, online, we did. And so we had a great little company. Sold that in 2001. I started teaching at the downtown university here, taught there for 9 years, international entrepreneurship.
So you've been teaching students after being a practicing entrepreneur. Now, I know you're doing it with a lot of private companies also,
right?
Where you're teaching entrepreneurs, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But you've written a couple of books. Now, your first book was published by McGraw-Hill.
That's right.
What was that one about?
Well, it actually took some of the things that we were doing in the classroom. In the classroom, I learned very quickly that having a textbook was one of the most boring things you could ever do for entrepreneurship.
Yep.
So instead, we came in, and every day we would work on starting a business. So every semester, we started a real business with real money. And I would come in and say, here's what we did today, here's what we did next week, here's what I'm going to do to start marketing. And we did that 12 semesters in a row. Every time we actually had a profitable business by the end of the semester. And so that became kind of a little media celebrity thing.
Yeah.
It became kind of interesting, and some of the Atlanta press started talking about it. And one of the reporters said, you should really write a book. Call McGraw-Hill and see if they're interested. And I was like, I don't have time to write a book. I don't want to do that. You call. And the reporter called back a week later and said, you have a contract with McGraw-Hill. You have 5 weeks to write a book. And so we sit down and we did it. We wrote a book that says entrepreneurship doesn't have to be about creativity, risk, or passion. We can go out there and be entrepreneurs without taking all that risk. You know, we don't have to start with $200,000. We don't have to go raise $2 million. Lots of great businesses start with $1,000, $2,000. And that reduces risk. And you can still have your mortgage, still keep your kids in college, and maybe have the money to do some things that you're excited to do. Also, creativity. I'm not a big fan of creativity. I love it when businesses are creative. But we have Adidas and Nike, Hilton and Hyatt, McDonald's and Burger King. There's nothing wrong with taking a business that's already out there, putting your twist on it, and doing it yourself. So don't sit on the sidelines simply because you're not creative. We want you to go out and get active.
Yeah, so many people think I've got to come up with this one idea that nobody else has ever thought of.
Right.
That doesn't happen in real life, does it?
Well, maybe Facebook people do that, but I'm not that creative. I'm not qualified to do that. So I just look around and I look for a problem, and that's what I believe entrepreneurship is about, solving a problem. And if I can find a problem, people will pay me to make their problems go away. Yeah. And so we look at it that way. We try to think of, instead of entrepreneurship being about risk and creativity, that slows you down. Think of it as solving someone's problems, and then it's very, very easy.
Risk, creativity, and that's your first book.
Right.
McGraw-Hill. Now you got a new book coming out.
Right. Rock Stars in an Elevator.
Now, let's do it again. Rock Stars in an Elevator. Tell me about that.
Well, we take 14 famous songs that most of us have heard of, some oldies, some newies, mix them up and use those songs to create perfect elevator pitches or value propositions for small business people and entrepreneurs. So, one of the hardest things we have is being able to express in 18 seconds why I'm cool. You only have 18 seconds. And after that, you're on the 33rd floor and you're going to get out of the elevator, right? So I've got just a very few seconds to make you remember who I am. Yeah. And even more importantly, to have a question. The perfect value proposition creates something in the other person's mind. Well, tell me more about that. That was really cool what you said. I don't know 100% about you, but I want to know more. That's a great value proposition. And that's what we're trying to do with these rock stars. Well, we start off with what we consider the greatest entrepreneurial songwriter of all time. And of course, no one will ever guess who this is.
I wouldn't.
No, it's Vanilla Ice. Do you remember Vanilla Ice from the 80s? Ice Ice Baby. He was a white rapper. He had one huge song, but he was a big rap star in the 80s, and he's still doing some stuff out there.
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice, right. He has a great song, and the song goes, yo, baby, if you got a problem, I will solve it.
If there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it.
Not I will study it, not I'll form a committee and we'll think about it.
Yo, I'll solve it.
If you got a problem, I will solve it. I think that's the epitome of entrepreneurship.
That's it.
That's it. So if you can take that and figure out what problem you're solving for your customer and explain that in 18 seconds and say, I'm the guy that makes that problem disappear. That's a great value proposition. So for a technology company, don't you hate it when you lose all of your data? I'm the guy that makes that problem disappear.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say. I now know what you do. I know that you can relate to me because you understand my problem. And when we connect on that basis, I'll remember what you do for a business.
It's unique now. You've gone to these rocks, so give me some more.
All right, John Lennon. You know John Lennon, of course.
I know John Lennon,
All right,
of course.
Imagine, one of the famous songs, Imagine a Perfect World.
Imagine all the people living life in peace.
Well, we can use that to create value propositions as well. And as a matter of fact, your alma mater, UGA, won the national championship a couple of years ago in elevator pitches using an Imagine pitch. I don't know if it wasn't in the media. I don't know if ESPN covered it very well. But think about this. There was a company, and they had a ball bearing that made snowboards and skateboards do more twists and half pikes. And I don't know what that means. You know, I'm not a skateboarder, and I know less about ball bearings. So describing that company is really hard. But here's the pitch they came up with, and it's an Imagine pitch. Imagine you're driving a car with no power steering, and all of a sudden that car has power steering. That's what we do for skateboards and snowboards.
That does it for
I
me.
get it. I
Yeah,
now
get it.
understand.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really know what you do, but I understand power steering. And so, wow, you make the skateboard go really fast. I get it. That's simple. And so we take a very complicated idea and imagine the scenario that it creates, and that's the perfect value proposition.
All right, Jim, give me song number 3.
All right, another UGA reference here, REM.
Yeah.
REM, I believe. This is a value proposition that we would use when you want to say something maybe a little controversial. Maybe you want to say something like, I can change an industry. Takes a lot of chutzpah to come off and say, I can change an industry.
I'd say.
However, if you couch it a little more politely, I believe in a future, blah, blah, blah. You can say something really profound if you simply back it up with, I believe, or it seems to me like.
Yeah.
And you can do something like that that's very profound, like, I believe I can create a social media where 1 billion people will sign on and share the most secret, intimate details of their life. I believe we can create a network like that. That would be a good value proposition for Facebook 5 or 6 years ago, because they're describing something that maybe we don't all 100% buy into, but I'm trying to convince you that we can. So REM, I believe.
And REM is based in Athens, Georgia.
Athens, Georgia,
home of the Georgia Bulldogs.
a huge UGA
All right.
group.
All right, 4.
Sinatra, New York, New York.
Yeah.
If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere.
If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Exactly. So we use this value proposition when you have one incredible customer, when you have one thing about you that sets you apart, and you don't need to say anything after that. So I'm a caterer at the White House. Stop! Don't say anything else after that. I'm a caterer for the White House. Oh, and I do all of the Tarkenton functions too. No, just stop. After that, let's go Kanye West. New artist, right?
Okay.
Certainly the biggest ego in the world, right? Gold digger.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke.
But gold digger is when someone says, I don't really believe that. We'll say, well, Wells Fargo just bought it. Coca-Cola just paid me for that. In other words, establishing the fact that the rest of the marketplace has validated my product. So when you get a huge sale, a huge validation, make that your value proposition. We have another Kanye West. His ego is so big we gave him 2 songs, right? And the second song would be Stronger.
That don't kill me, can only make me stronger.
That which does not kill me makes me stronger, right? So I just lost one of my biggest accounts. And let me tell you why. The fact that I just lost my biggest account makes it so I will be the best servant you've ever had. The fact that I just lost my $1 million account makes me hungry and makes me going to serve you so well. So we use this situation whenever we have anything bad to talk about in our company.
All right, your last song.
Well, we use number 7 when we've got nothing else to say, right? And so we call this the KISS strategy. Remember the KISS band,
Yes.
Gene Simmons?
Yeah.
Not a good band, no good songs, right? But they were still world famous. They have KISS caskets, for goodness sakes, right? Put a lot of makeup on it, scream really loud, put some pyrotechnics in your PowerPoint presentation. We use KISS when we have nothing else to say. In other words, we're just going to put a lot of makeup on it and scream really loud because that's all we've got.